Erev Tov, everyone, and Shavua Tov, and we're here for the weekly story, and afterwards, following will be the weekly class. But first and foremost, when we're talking about stories, it's impossible to even begin the story without one of the major stories that just transformed, before our eyes. Everyone heard about the terrible happening in Amsterdam, where thousands of Jews were targeted. Rahman al-Islam. The newspapers called it by the expression "pogrom," which is a very, very sharp and shocking expression for anyone that knows about these kinds of things. Anyone that went through their parents or grandparents went through pogroms. This was one of the most unbelievable and shocking, but at the same time, amazing happenings, because with everything that transpired, the hundreds and maybe even thousands of Arabs, not only the ones that came to attack, but there were taxi drivers. People wanted to go to their hotels, and the only taxis that were there were Arab taxis. They're drives, or they're all Arab, and the taxis stood there and they said, "No, I can't take you, or I won't take you." It was terrible, terrible, disgusting, to say the least. But at the same time, it was a miraculous happening, because there was not one life, Baruch Hashem, not one life. Hashem did not allow one life to be taken. Maybe there were a few that Hashem should watch over us, a few that were injured. They should have a refuah shalema, an immediate recovery. But for such a thing to happen, and every single Jew remained intact, it's a miracle. And the Rebbe comes and says, we have to thank Hashem for these miracles that He is doing for us. We have to thank Him. We have to sing to Him. We have to dance to Him, and all this has to be with all our heart. But at the same time, we have to ask Hashem to stop this craziness, to please take us and bring us the goodness on a good and revealed basis. The short story, and it happened this past weekend. There is a shliach, and this shliach is in Russia. The city of, if I'm not mistaken, Kaluga, not Beluga, where they have the the caviar, but Kaluga. And he got together his minyan for Shabbos, and all of a sudden, a person who doesn't frequent the Chabad house often, he comes from time to time, maybe for the high holidays, whatever. All of a sudden, this person walked in, and he sees him there for the service. After the service, he walks over to him, says to him, "Good Shabbos," and he says, "It was a pleasure to see you tonight. We don't usually have the honor and the pleasure to be able to see you on Shabbos." So the person looks at the shliach. He looks him in the eyes and he says, "Rabbi, I want you to know one thing. If there are Jews that are going to be beaten in Holland, in Amsterdam, this means that a Jew here in Kaluga has to come and he has to show up at services in synagogue." And this is exactly the unbelievable occurrence, one leading to the other. Rahman litzlan, Jews were frightened. They were going out of their minds. They were running all over. Some of them actually they tried to defend themselves. There was an aerial liftoff from Israel. They returned 2,000 Jews returned back to Israel from Holland. They were flown immediately. They were all together, as I heard, they were all together for this football match, and then people went in order to go and to have, they merged it with a trip with a family. There were 4,000 Jews in Amsterdam. 2,000 Jews got on a plane and came back. Another 2,000 left, stayed there. It's difficult to understand. They wanted to show that no one's going to move them. No one's going to make them change their plans, despite all the terrorists and the Arabs and so on. I don't know how wise and how smart that is. And they wanted to also reassure the local Jews in Holland that the Israelis don't flee, they don't run away. They stand up. They stand up for the respect and the honor of the Jewish nation. But it's literally just like the Rebbe once said in a Sikha. What is the goodness? What is the greatness? How does a young little girl, of the age of 3, when she lights her Shabbos candle in the United States, how does it influence the world? The Rebbe says, listen, when we light the Shabbos candles, it brings light. It illuminates the home. It brings light into... The Rebbe says, no, it's not just the home. The Rebbe explains that it illuminates the entire universe, the entire material world, and also the spiritual worlds, to the extent, the Rebbe says, that when a young little girl here in the United States lights her Shabbos candle, an entire family in France wakes up and wants to observe Shabbos. How are the two connected? It's a spiritual connection between the entire stature of the Jewish nation. One limb has the influence on another limb. And so this is truly what we have to understand. But we have to come and we have to ask the Eibishter, we have to beg the Rebbe to pray on our behalf and to take away all the sorrows, to take away all the mishaps, to take away all these tragedies and pogroms that are going on, and allow us to go and to take care of one Jew for our fellow Jew in a good and a revealed goodness. Not without all these great miracles that happen after the tragedy, after the fact. Of course, we're thanking Hashem. Of course, we're singing and praising Hashem. The Rebbe comes and says that we shouldn't be embarrassed to go out into the streets and to dance. And the Rebbe says it in a manner of negation. The Rebbe doesn't say we should go out in the streets and we should dance. The Rebbe says, not only should we go out in the streets and dance and thank Hashem and sing to Hashem praises, but for those that are thinking that they're embarrassed, they're ashamed to go out to the streets, the Rebbe comes and speaks out about these people, about ourselves. And the Yetzer Hara in each and every one of us, the Goy Asher Bekir B'cha, that comes and tries to say, listen, you want to dance, you want to sing, okay, put on the music and dance and sing in your home. You have to take to the streets. No, the Rebbe says, you don't be embarrassed. We shouldn't be ashamed. We go out to the streets and we show everyone that we have the complete belief and complete trust and thanks to the Eibishter, to the Holy One, blessed be He. And this is the first story that we wanted to open up with. Couldn't pass the order of the day without such a story and without mentioning something. And all those Jews that were there, and obviously their families, they should all have a complete refuah shalema, whoever chas v'sholom was injured. And it's not only refuah shalema materially, we're not talking even physically. People were shattered inside. They said, what? In 2024, 5,784 to the creation of the world, such things can happen? Such things can repeat themselves? People have an unbelievable shaken feeling inside. This also, the mental feeling, should have a refuah shalema as well, and should be on a good and revealed basis, and should be teichef umiyad, mamish. Perhaps, since this story was quite long, We'll save the second story for maybe another next week, another occasion. And in the meantime, uh, again, we're wishing, as I was asked before about what's going on in the situation in Eretz Yisrael. Yeah, there were sirens today, and there were sirens not only in Sfat but all in Haifa, the suburb areas, the suburb bay areas of Haifa, and there was a barrage of something like 80 rockets. And again, were there people? Baruch Hashem, there was no life that was taken. Everyone is alive. Is everyone well? There were those that were injured, not from a direct hit, but they were from sharpenel that Hashem watch over us, sharpenel that fell, and they should all have a refuah shalema. But this is what we demand from Hashem, that we should have a complete victory. Our soldiers and security forces all over the world, not only in Israel, we should have a complete victory over all those that oppose the Jewish nation, that oppose Hashem Yisborach, and we should all those that and it should be without any casualties, and all those that were injured, they should have a complete refuah shalema, complete healing, immediate and complete healing, and all those that are still Rahman litzlan beyond. It's more than 400 days that these people, these hostages, are being held hostage. 400 days. Hashem should take them out and bring them back, return. They should all return mitoch simcha v'tuv levav, in a manner of happiness and joy, and it should all be in a manner of teichef umiyad, mamish, 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 in actuality, literally, now. Amen. Yichi Adonenu, Morenu v'Rabbeinu, HaMelech Ha'Moshiach, Chai v'Kayim L'Olam V'ed.